So I'm going to introduce Riley really briefly. Then let's do your intros. And then Riley's going to introduce herself to you guys and we'll get started. Sounds good? Okay. All right. So this is Riley Sartain-Vaughan, but now she's married. So Riley is a graduate from Texas A&M, and now she plays professionally with This Is Us softball. So I know that you guys, Riley was a solo senior at Texas, and I know you guys have lots of leadership questions that you guys always bring to the call. So make sure you bring them. I know she's ready and eager to answer them. So Riley, I will turn it over. I'll turn it over to you. Go ahead and do your intro.
Sure. So like you said, my name is Riley. You can call me Sartain or Vaughan, really either one works. I'm based out of Fort Worth, Texas, so it's near Dallas, if you guys know where that is. Pretty much born and raised here. I grew up going to a private school most of my life, went to a public school my last 2 years, and we won 2 state championships at Aledo High School. There's a little documentary called Title Town. We're a tiny little town that won all these state championships. It's really cool if you have time to watch it. Went to Texas A&M, played there at third base my first 3 years, and then shortstop my senior year. I was the only senior my senior year, and we'll kind of get to that here in this call at some point, kind of how that transpired and then kind of how I dealt with it. I had no intentions of playing professional softball, but I got drafted by a team called the Mankato Peppers in the legitimate NPF draft, which is it used to be, I guess, the big professional softball league. And then I got another offer from Scrapyard Dogs out of Houston, ended up taking the Scrapyard offer for a couple of reasons. I'll also tell you guys about that later. And then now played for a team called This Is Us, and hopefully we'll also play in Chicago with Athletes Unlimited this summer.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, guys, I know you guys are excited for this call. I am too. All right, Riley, I will turn it back over to you.
Sure thing. So I thought I would just kind of share with you guys my story, just how my softball journey has gone about these past couple of years. I've been playing softball for, I want to say 18 years now, so quite a while. I first got into softball when I was really little, I was 6, and I always tell my lessons, I give lessons at a DBAT. I could tell my lessons all the time. I'm like, look, I was a gymnast. I had no intentions of playing any other sport ever in my whole life. And my parents were like, Riley, you have to do something besides gymnastics. And I said, we signed you up for softball with one of your best friends. And I was in tears. I was like, no, I don't want to play softball. And then I played and never stopped. So really kind of fell into this by chance, just because my parents wanted to sign me up. And I actually grew up in Houston, Texas, if y'all know where that is. And in Houston, league softball, so rec softball was really big. And I played, one of my very first teams I played on was with the Emmanuel sisters, Courtney and Sydney. They played at Georgia. And they were my very first team. So rec softball was huge in Houston. It was super competitive. Select softball hadn't really taken form in Texas yet, I guess. And so when I moved to Fort Worth, when I was little, we moved for my dad's job. We played rec, and it was the most least competitive thing here in Fort Worth for whatever reason. And it still somewhat is. And so I started playing select, and when you start playing select, how it just kind of takes over your whole life. You're every other weekend, you're at tournaments, you're lessons twice a week, speed and agility, all that kind of stuff. So and especially when I was growing up and going through the recruiting process, you started recruiting for colleges when you were 12. And so it started from a super, super young age, and I kind of found my way through a few different teams here in the Fort Worth area, the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Ended up on a team called Team Mizuno. Played with them through 14U, 16U, and 18U. And then my last year, I played for a team called Impact Gold. So some pretty, just I guess, well-known teams here in Texas if you're from here, somewhat nationally if you play in those national tournaments. But growing up, so softball was it. Softball was it. That was all I did. That's what I eat, sleep, breathe, softball, repeat in school too. But if there's anything I could the advice I could give to you guys, it would just be to play other sports for as long as you can. Because I specialized in softball really, really early, and I was very lucky. I had no overuse injuries when I was young, but I see a lot of kids these days with tons of just overuse issues in their rotator cuff and then their knees and their hips and stuff like that. So play as many sports as you can for as long as you can. I've always been a huge advocate for multi-sport athletes, something I never did just because of circumstances and recruiting, and something that I hope you guys have the opportunity to do now that recruiting rules have changed. Went to Texas A&M my freshman year. I was in a very good freshman class. So just some names out there if you guys know them. I was with a girl named Samantha Show, who ended up playing for OSU and became famous for her bat flips. Keely Milligan, who ended up playing at University of Louisiana Lafayette. And then Caitlin Alderank, also, who's playing at Louisiana Lafayette as we speak, actually. They're playing up here at UT Arlington. I was in a super competitive freshman class, and something about me, I've never been, just growing up and playing softball, I've never been the biggest or the fastest or the strongest on any of my teams. Like if you look at me on the field, I'm very unassuming. I'm about 5'3". I weigh like 150-ish, give or take what I eat on that day. I'm not fast. Like I'm really not fast at all. I could probably kid you because my build looks like I'm fast, not fast. But what's gotten me through all of these, checkpoints in my career, starting in college, going to the Women's College World Series, being an All-American, all that kind of stuff, is just the fact that I knew what I was good at. And so some other advice I would love to give to you guys is just know what you bring to your team. I was, 3-4 hole hitter. Again, like I said, I'm not going to hit lots of home runs. I'm not super strong. I'm not going to bunt and get on base. I'm not super fast. My job was just to get base hits and, move runners, be strategic with my sacrifice bunts, sac flies, that kind of stuff. And so what got me through is, hard work, grinding it out, outworking every other person on my team, and my opponents on the other team, knowing what I was good at and what I brought to the table, and making sure that I was an expert in that field. I wasn't trying to be somebody else. I wasn't trying to, go up there and be a Valerie Arriota. She plays for Team USA, hit lots of home runs. That's not my game. And I realized that the second that I stepped out of what my game was, I began to perform less well. So reminded me all the time to stick to your game, and then, just be the best teammate you can be. And those things are what got me to the levels of softball I've been playing, where if you looked at my stats, or if you looked at, my height, weight, all that kind of stuff, my throwing velocity, if you looked at that on a piece of paper, you'd be like, this girl does not belong on the field. Like I played over the summer with This Is Us Softball, and half of that team is Team USA. I'm playing with Monica and Kat and like all these girls that I grew up just admiring so much. And looking at my numbers, I never belonged on that field ever. But the way that I played and the way that I was taught to play, and it's just the relentless effort and energy and, willing to do whatever it takes to make my team win, that's what has put me on the field on those kinds of teams. And that's what put me on the field at Texas A&M. I did not, if you look at my stats at A&M, I think I hit my career batting average. If y'all are familiar with like what's good batting average and what's not, my career batting average is like 280, 285, where usually you would see a player who's playing pro or, basically playing with Team USA. You'd be like, oh my gosh, I bet, she hits 350 every year and she has 10 home runs. That was not the case at A&M. It's the intangibles, the thing that you can't see, but you can feel it. Those are the things you can bring to a team that requires zero talent at all. It's just the way that you make the teammates to your left and your right better, the way you hold each other accountable, and the way that you do the right thing 100% of the time. That's going to put you on the field, maybe when your numbers don't say that you belong there. And that's what got me through Texas A&M in a lot of ways. My freshman year, I got there and I was behind a third baseman who was an All-American. Her name is Tori Vidal. She plays for Team Mexico. And I was like, man, this is going to be tough to break into the lineup. I really just played third and short. I was open to playing other positions, but I talked to Coach Evans, who's the head coach down there, and I was like, look, I want to play, and I will catch if you need me to. I've never caught in my life. It's like, I will catch if you need me to. I just want to get onto this field. I ended up breaking my way in at third base. And they moved Tori over to first base because it was just a better situation for our team. And then from then on, like I really felt like I belonged. Before then, I was kind of like, man, maybe I'm not going to start. Maybe, I don't really know. College is so different and it's so scary sometimes. And so just busting into that lineup just, boosted my confidence in a lot of ways and helped me realize that, I did belong there. And even if my stats didn't show it, I brought other things to the table that, proved that I was a force to be reckoned with in the field. Now, as my career evolved at Texas A&M, my sophomore year, I was an All-American. We went to the College World Series that year. Really, really, really awesome year for me and for my team. One of the best years of softball, I think, I've personally played, and also just great team chemistry we had on that team. And then my junior year, we took a nosedive. Team chemistry went in the toilet. We had a lot of, caddy drama stuff going on our team that affected the way we played on the field. And it was so sad to see a team who showed we graduated 2 seniors my sophomore year, the year we went to the World Series, 2 seniors. Neither of those seniors really were in the starting lineup. They were big, leaders on our team, but they weren't in the starting lineup. We lost no starters, and everybody gained a year of experience. The next year, we almost made it to the World Series, shockingly enough. But if you would have been on that team, it was a complete 180 from the year before. Just, I can't even explain it. I'm sure you guys have experienced that at some point with just girls who are mean or, a dynamic that just does not work. And that's what we experienced. And then fast forward to my senior year, and 3 of my teammates I've been playing with and who I've known since I was 12 decide to transfer. And it was one of the most devastating things ever, because they're really like your sisters. And even though you don't always get along, it's like, these girls are your sisters. And all of a sudden I was alone. And we had 8 freshmen, 9 sophomores, and 4 juniors. And now all of a sudden I'm like supposed to be the person in charge. And for me, I have always been a lead by example type of player. I've never really been a vocal leader, but I was forced to be. My senior year, I was absolutely forced to be. And it was one of the most terrifying things I've ever had to do. I just felt like I was going to say the wrong thing, and I did in a lot of times. But all those things helped me to grow. And when I look back at it, my senior year, we almost didn't make a regional tournament. We almost didn't make postseason, which for A&M, just our history in softball, that's almost unheard of. Because we've had a very strong history in softball, and we've almost always made the NCAA tournament at some point. And I almost felt responsible. I was like, we were a young team. There's just a lot of different things, a lot of different dynamics that were going on. I tore my meniscus and I had to have surgery after the year was over. There was just so many things on and off the field that were going on that were extremely tough. And every day I was like, man, I really wish this could be different. Like, I really wish this wasn't happening to me right now. But when I look back on it, that was probably one of my most pivotal years in my performance as a player and now as a coach, because now I know what it feels like to face just unimaginable adversity you never thought you would ever face. And I know how to conquer it now. And so the moments where I felt my weakest, whether it was playing wise on the field, what I was actually contributing, or the moments where I felt the weakest as a leader, like I felt like I just couldn't do anything right. Those are actually the moments that built me into the leader I am today. And so, this game, softball is a crazy game, and it will take you to some lows. It'll take you to moments where maybe you don't feel confident in yourself because of your performance in the field, or maybe your teammates will make you feel a certain way, or maybe they'll hold you accountable and you've never had to be held accountable before. But if you work hard and if you put your blood, sweat, and tears into this game, it will never fail you, ever. It really won't. Whether it's the lessons you learn from it, or the 0 for 4 games where you strike out 4 times in a row that'll eventually turn into 4 for 4 games with 3 triples and a home run. This game will always pay you back as long as you're putting in the work. And obviously there's a caveat to that, as long as you're putting in the work. And there's no guarantee that if you go out tonight and hit 100 balls into the net, you're going to go 4 for 4 tomorrow, but it's possible. And that hard work that you put in tonight will over time build and build and build and build. And then eventually you'll find yourself in the College World Series wondering like, whoa, how did I even get here? This is insane. And it's all those nights, late nights of hard work, all of the, doing one more rep when nobody's watching and you really don't want to. It's picking the ball up in center field that nobody in your team wants to pick up, but you're going to go out there and do it. It's all those tiny moments that kind of build up, and you don't even realize it until after it's over and you're like, whoa, that was insane. Softball's taken me some crazy places. And it's definitely shaped me as a person I am today, and I'm super proud of that. So if y'all have any questions, I would love to answer all of them.
Go ahead.
Ashton, go ahead.
What was the best thing that you think you said that like to your team?
Good question. So I think one of the hardest things to do in a group of your peers, in a group of people who are as old as you are, maybe even older than you, is to hold each other accountable. What that means is if you see somebody, not doing as best as they could, whether it's they're not giving the effort they could, or maybe their shirt's untucked when the rules on the team are to tuck your shirt in, or whatever it is, whenever somebody is falling short of the expectations that have been set for your team, telling them that is extremely difficult. And telling them that in a way that doesn't make them upset or that doesn't make them feel like you're attacking them is very difficult. And so one of the greatest lines I ever learned was saying, hey, we're better than that. And that kind of covers everything, because it's not calling them out as a person. Like, so say, Ashlyn, say that the rules on our team is that your shirt is supposed to be tucked in at practice. And I see your shirt is not tucked in, and it's not tucked in, like it's not like an accident. You know that it's not tucked in. I would say, hey, Ashlyn, come on, tuck your shirt in. And then, if you got upset with me, if you got upset and were, mad that I called you out, maybe you're a little bit embarrassed because, some other people heard it and you don't like being the center of attention. And you were upset with me, I would say, hey, we're better than that. Come on. And hopefully if you're in the right headspace, you'd be like, okay, was that fun for her to hold me accountable? No one likes to be held accountable. Nobody likes to be told that they're not doing something right or not doing it to the best of their ability. But it's a reminder, like, yeah, I am better than that. So you're telling them, hey, we could do this better. And you're reminding them that they are better, that they are that person that is better. And so it kind of inspires them to be a better version of themselves too. So, hey, we're better than that. Best line in the world.
Thank you.
Of course.
That makes a lot of sense.
When you guys had your year where you guys just kind of tanked at Texas A&M with your team dynamic, like that next year as this only senior, how did you, I guess, try to fix that? Or what did you do to try to fix your team dynamic?
Good question. So I would say the reason our team dynamic took a nosedive in the first place was because there were a lot of just like pent up feelings towards each other. It's kind of like where when you're with somebody, like say you have a best friend and like you love them to death, but sometimes they do something that's like just totally annoying and you don't say anything about it. And then over time, it just builds and builds and builds until you just explode on each other and then you fight and then you make up and whatever. We never had those like diffusing moments. We never had those moments where we were just able to like go to each other and say, hey, look, this is what I'm feeling right now. And I don't think it's good for our team. And I think we should probably resolve this conflict that we have. So a lot of just unresolved conflict that kind of was kind of just swept under the rug, like, oh, we'll be better. It'll be okay. Like it's not going to affect us. But over the course of a, 4-month season, it always comes up. And it's usually in the most important moments. It's in those moments where your team really has to band together that the annoyances seem to be the worst. And so what we started doing, and this was just something that we did together, every week or so, we would go to each other and we would draw names out of a hat, and you would tell the person that you drew, you would tell them 2 things. We call it the sandwich. You would tell them 2 things they do that are really good for the team, and then 1 thing that they do that doesn't help the team, whether it's the way they talk to another teammate, or it's the way that you feel like maybe they're not working hard as they could, or their attitude after they strike out, whatever it is. You would always say one good thing first, the thing they could do better in the middle, and then the 1 thing good at the end. And while I fell short as a leader in a lot of ways that year, that those were some tools I was able to give the underclassmen that hopefully now their team culture at Texas A&M is better because of the skills we learned whenever I was there. It's not always an easy fix, and sometimes it takes a couple of years of just teaching the people underneath you. Maybe it's not, like for me, when I left, our team culture wasn't great. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't what I wanted it to be. But I think that just going through that, we gave everybody the ability to work through those things. And now I've heard from my friends that are still there that the team culture is great, and that they all love playing together, and that everything is pretty good.
Thank you.
Of course.
Good questions, guys. Really awesome questions. What else you got?
Seriously.
You know that Coach Becca has questions, but I'm gonna hold off because I know you guys have wheels turning. Go ahead, Ash. What you got?
So when you said that like you injured yourself one time, do you know if that was like a good, like, do you know if like your team was like successful or they just like totally tanked?
So I tore my meniscus about halfway through the season, and I didn't know it. Like I never got it looked at because it hurt, but I was like I could still play. And my trainer's like, you're not damaging anything right now. Everything feels okay. And personally, my performance, as I was the 3-hole hitter and I played short, my performance totally tanked. I didn't know what I was doing wrong, and it wasn't until after I graduated that I realized my mechanics had totally changed because my knee was so weak, and I didn't notice. Like it just happened so gradually over time. I did end up getting moved to the end of the lineup, and that's one of those moments where it's just like, dang, like I should be the person that's like, leading the team in batting average and home runs, and while I was still hitting like 290 or something like that, and I still had 10 or so home runs, the underclassmen actually did a phenomenal job of picking me up. When I was down and when I wasn't being successful, they had my back, and they would get the base hit that I couldn't. They would, execute the hit and run that I couldn't, and they would make the plays that I couldn't. So I was definitely blessed to have some really talented underclassmen, freshmen and sophomores and juniors, to come have my back when I couldn't have my own. So hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. And also, when did you graduate college?
I graduated in 2019, so 2 years ago, 2 seasons removed.
Thank you.
Of course.
Hey, your turn. Oh, was it hard balancing school and softball?
Yes. Okay. So one important thing that, this is something that I did a little bit by myself. My parents really drilled into my head was that school always came first. And, my routine when I was 12, 13, 14, like my daily schedule was go to school, come home, snack, obviously, do homework, finish homework, and then softball would come after. So, sometimes I was in our garage, throwing a tennis ball against the wall at 9 p.m, and that was the only work I could get done, just because school always took over. And I've always been very proud of my academic achievements. At my high school, I was third in my class in my private school, and then at A&M, I was a distinguished honor graduate. So school was always something that was very, very important to me. And it's really just about balancing time. Like your priorities, if your priorities are straight, you will devote the necessary amount of time to the things that are your priorities. Now I understand that it's hard for you guys. Social media was becoming big when I was going through middle school, but it definitely wasn't as big as it is now. And so I know that it's difficult. I have a 15-year-old brother, so I know that it's difficult for you guys to like put the phone down, and like put the TikTok down, put the Instagram down, put whatever it is down, and like do your homework, do your workout, your training, whatever it is that you need. Make sure you're eating good food, and then get enough sleep. So it's hard, yes, if your priorities are the way they should be, which is also hard. It kind of takes care of itself. I think it's great to have a schedule. So like a planner, I have a planner. Even now I have a planner, just to kind of like map out how I want my day to look. I know it can sound time consuming, but just 5 minutes in the morning, make a little checklist. Like, okay, I have to do this today. I have, school. I have a test tomorrow that I have to study for. I have to get, 15 minutes of speed agility in, 15 minutes of glove work in, and then go hit for 30 minutes. And so have a checklist where you can actually see like if you're doing what you said you wanted to do that day. And then maybe if there's a day where you feel like you didn't have time to get all of it in, you can check and be like, was there not enough time because I was on TikTok, or was there not enough time because there's just not enough hours in the day sometimes to get things done? So it's something that can kind of help you just plan everything out is really, really good for you too. Good question.
When you made your decision with Texas A&M, and I don't know if you toured there or not, but like, what was your deciding factor? Or like, did you just kind of have like an aha moment, like this is my school?
That's a good question too. So my parents both went to Texas A&M. They met there, and growing up, I've always been a diehard Aggie. My grandma lives in College Station, which is where A&M is. That was always my first choice. When I was getting recruited, like I said, this happened when we were like 12 and 13 years old. When I was getting recruited, my top three choices and the schools that I absolutely loved were Texas A&M, University of Washington, Stanford, and Missouri. So top four schools that I just absolutely loved. Loved the coaching staffs, loved the program. But my mom asked me, obviously at the time I was going into oil and gas. My grandpa runs an oil and gas company. So that was kind of me grooming myself to take over the family business. So I was going in for geophysics, which is a very niche major. It's not big everywhere. And so obviously that played a role in like kind of where I wanted to go to school also. But my mom told me, she said, if you went to whatever school you're about to pick and you got injured on the very first day of practice and were told you could never play softball again, would you be happy with your choice?
Yeah.
And for me, like my heart was really taking me to Washington because I love Coach Tar and I love, obviously the uniforms are awesome and they're so good at softball. But I was like, I don't know if it's far from home. I just don't know if I got hurt that I would necessarily be my happiest there. A&M was definitely hands down the choice for me, even though for a couple of years there, I was like, man, I'm really going to go be a Husky. That's what I'm going to go do. But yeah, it was, where do you want to go? And it could also be worded as, where do you want to go and sit the bench? Like, where do you want to go and not play at all and still, feel like you made the right choice?
Cool. Thank you.
Of course.
What you got, Kaylani? I saw your hand go up.
What is it like to play for This Is Us? And do you have any other jobs besides it?
That's a good question. It's awesome. So we started, I'm not sure if y'all are privy to all of the information that happened, but we played for Scrapyard Dogs, which is a very prominent professional softball team. It's been around for several years. There was a tweet sent out by somebody in upper management that was super insensitive to the issues that were going on at the time. And so as a team, we decided to step away from that organization and we started a new organization called This Is Us Softball. And really our mission was to make softball feel like it was a place that welcomed everybody. And it, you don't have to fill whatever square to come play softball. Like, we will welcome you and love you and make you feel like you belong no matter what. So that was kind of our mission. And it was incredible, not only to be a part of that kind of culture and that kind of just moment in softball history, but also to play with, I cannot explain to you guys how much I've looked up to Kat Osterman and Monica Abbott, like my whole life. Our very first day of practice, I was like starstruck. And I don't even think I said a word to them because I was just terrified. Because I mean, they're two-time Olympian gold medalists, like some of the best softball players to ever play the game. And I was playing behind them. Oh, it was so cool and something I will cherish for forever. And it was absolutely awesome. I do have other jobs. So I do still work for my grandpa. I ended up not majoring in geophysics. I majored in strength and conditioning. Just some interesting things that led me to that choice. But I still work for him for his oil company as he does some of the stuff that he's doing. I give lessons. My parents own a DBAT facility. I don't know if you guys have those where you are. But it's basically just a hitting facility, and there's a bunch of them around here, kind of sprinkled throughout southeast US, and some in Arizona and California. But I give lessons there, and then I also have an online player development platform. Just basically a ton of drills, tons of courses for girls who want some guidance and some training and stuff like that. Let's see, what else do I do? My husband plays professional baseball. He is currently playing with an independent team here in the DFW area. And we do softball clinics. He loves to coach softball. So we do like mini softball clinics with teams from around here. And it's really, really fun. That's probably our favorite thing to do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's such cool stuff. I did not know all that. That's awesome. Awesome
gotta make ends meet,
Yeah.
Pay the bills.
Yep. And Riley, your brother, I've seen like some of your Instagram videos too. Like he'll like pitch to you and stuff like that, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh. So I don't know if you guys saw this on social media, but my husband and I bat flipped each other over quarantine. You know, I would throw to him, he'd hit it, you know, home run, whatever, bat flip me, and then he would throw to me and I would bat flip him. My brother, though, not videoed really a whole lot, is probably one of the best underhand pitchers with the little foam ball I've ever faced. He's been pitching since he was like, you know, 1 week old. He's been doing this for forever. And he's amazing. He plays baseball and he's really good at baseball, but underhand pitching, guys, he is so good. It's insane.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Especially with like, what'd you say with the little foam balls?
Yeah, so it's like Jugs makes these like little light flight balls that we
Yeah.
used to have. You know, like whenever we were growing up, it was like you go to warm-ups for your game, your coach brought the light flight machine, and you put the ball, and you hit with a stick, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's the squishy balls. So yeah.
Like
love
so
him.
hard to throw in general, let alone be awesome at it.
Yes, he's so good. He's awesome. His name is Brooks Sartain, if you want to give him a follow on social media.
Give Riley a follow too. We'll have Riley, can you drop your Instagram
Sure.
stuff in the chat?
Absolutely.
Because just follow Riley because she's awesome, but also she has so many cool drills and stuff that she does on social media too. So
I sent my personal one and then my player development one, which is more like softball oriented.
perfect. Awesome. Thank you.
Of course.
Good questions, guys. Anybody else have any? We're coming up. We're a couple minutes over. 8:30, 8:37 here. 7:37 for some of you guys. Anybody else have any more questions? Anything?
I have a quick question.
What's up, JJ?
I know you said that like your senior year you peaked on your like leadership. If you would like go back on your like younger like freshman year, do you think you'd be like go forward and try to lead a little bit more in your own way and more encouragement way?
Definitely. That's a good question. I think, you know, I always just kind of sat in this, I'll just lead by example kind of category. I was like, this is kind of what fits for me. This is in my comfort zone. I feel good doing this and I'm really good at it. But looking back on what I know now, there were so many moments, like I told you. So I would say everyone transferring and leaving me alone my senior year was kind of like the bubbling over of all the stuff that had been going on for several years. I feel like there were so many moments for me in between to kind of maybe not change the outcome of everything, but definitely steer in a different direction. And I know that I was kind of quiet. Like I had my one or two really good friends on the team, but other than that, like I would talk to everybody and I was really friendly, but I wouldn't ever hold them accountable, for instance. I wouldn't ever say those things. I didn't want them to be mad at me. And I never understood that, like, I would be more mad at somebody for not holding me accountable and it leading me down a path of self-destruction or a path that made my team lose. And so I just didn't have that perspective yet. I just didn't understand how important it was to not only lead by example, but lead with your words and the things that you had to say. And I've always been, you know, I'm a Christian. I've always been a huge believer in being a servant leader. So like serving the people that you want to lead in a way that, you know, can I take you to this class to the freshmen who didn't have cars, or like, what can I do for you? Can I bring you food, or, you know, that kind of stuff. And then also picking up the slack when they needed it and whenever they needed some help. And I just wish I would have done that a little bit more, and maybe been a little bit more intentional with it, instead of just being like, yeah, well, I'm just comfortable here leading by example and doing the right thing. It was good. It was good because it kind of set a standard, but I never helped anybody who was struggling lift themselves up to that standard. I never gave them the encouragement or like the, hey, we're better than that kind of mentality until I was a junior and a senior. And even then I failed miserably at it sometimes, but that's kind of what it takes to kind of figure it out and figure out how to relate to people and make things work.
If you would have like one thing that'd be really good for like, I'm a freshman on my team and I go to a small Christian school, and we are allowed for high school to have some junior high on our team, but we also have older classmen, and I don't like being like the hold you accountable. I'm more of a like, I'll pump you up from like encouragement. What would be one thing that you would say would be the best way to lead from that?
Good question. So number one, if at any point you want to be a vocal leader, you have to lead by example first. So we'll go back to Ashlyn, my example with you in the t-shirt or the shirt not being tucked in, just because everybody's familiar with that. If I was telling you to tuck your t-shirt in, but I had my t-shirt untucked, no one would listen to me. And so it's kind of setting sort of a reputation of, okay, hey, I'm here, I do the right thing, I'm diligent in my effort, I'm here for the team, being a servant leader in lots of ways, like asking what people need, especially people that are younger than you. Like I know there's like this big stigma to like, you know, seniority, I'm whatever, I'm older than you, I get to do this first. Like kind of reverse that and let the underclassmen do things first. Don't always make them carry equipment. Help them, you know, whenever you can, and kind of show that, like show who you are. Because all of you guys are here doing this right now. So I'm assuming all of you have great moral character and are just really good people to be on. You're really good teammates, and your teammates are probably really appreciative of you. But just show them that, and show them that every day, not, you know, not when it's convenient, but every single day. We call it character reps, doing character reps and reminding people like, hey, I'm here for you. I'm here for this team, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make our team and our situation successful on and off the field. And then after you've set that reputation for yourself, after you set that, like, this is who I am, and you're steady, you're consistent, then when people fall short of whatever, you know, whatever expectations that your program or your team or your friends, whoever it is, whatever expectations they'll have set, when people start to fall short of that, you can always remind them how good they are. There's a sophomore when I was a senior, and she's still one of my really good friends. And I'll never forget, I was feeling very, very inadequate as a leader. I had said some things to some people who I didn't say it the right way. It wasn't taken the right way. It was just not a good conversation. Nothing really got done. And I remember, like, I was super in the dumps about it. And it was to the point where it was like visible in my body language and my face. And I was just very disappointed in myself. And she came up to me and was like, just pumped me up. And she was like, don't you know that you're one of the best leaders I've ever known, and you're one of the most steady, like, people on this team. And she just gave me so much encouragement, and it wasn't in a way that made me feel like I was more inadequate, because I was already being hard on myself. And so she really made a turnaround for me in a lot of ways, and you know, kept me going in a time where I felt like I just wasn't doing the right thing, and I couldn't steer this team in the right direction. So there's always a role for you. To answer your long story short, to answer your question, there's always a role for you in some way. And it's just about finding that way that's going to help the people to your left and your right the most. And it might not always be saying, hey, your shirt's not tucked in. It might just be, you know, pumping her up, being like, hey, love you, great play, your shirt's untucked, let's fix that. You know, something different, something that always, from an authoritative point of view, it can be from a friend point of view too.
I love that. Awesome question, JJ. And I love that the idea too of, like you said, Riley, the character reps that are so important and don't get talked about a lot.
Never until now.
Never. We're changing that. Awesome stuff. Good questions, guys. Riley, thank you so much for being with us. What do you guys think? Anybody have one more juicy question before we close out? No, everybody's good. Ashlyn, are you raising your hand? You got one more?
Yes.
What's up?
So I know that Sis Bates is on you said the Washington, like the University of Washington gave you like a college offer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, because I'm a shortstop, I like Sis Bates, because she is too.
I do too.
If you would have known, like in hindsight, if Sis Bates was like a really good shortstop, would you still have gone to the college you're at right now? Or no, that you were at?
Yeah. So you're saying, like, if there was somebody in front of me that was really that good, would I still have gone there? Is that kind of what you're asking?
Yes.
That's a really good question. So I think it's important to understand what your priorities are too. So for me, in my head, like I was determined to break into any lineup, any team that I picked, I was determined to break into that lineup somewhere, whether it was playing short or it was playing third or second or first or, DPing, whatever it was. I knew that I was going to work my booty off until I got a shot, until I got my chance to be somewhere on that team, even if it wasn't at the position that I wanted to play. Now, everybody's different. Maybe for you, you really want to play every single game. And at some schools, just because of the way that they've done their recruiting and the people that they have in place, perfect example, I probably wouldn't have played shortstop had I gone to UW. I might have played third or second, but I probably wouldn't have played shortstop. Sis is really, really, really good, and she has a really good bat. So I guess just knowing, for me, I still would have gone to A&M just because of the other reasons that I said earlier, just because that's where I wanted to go and get my degree from. That's the school I wanted to graduate from and get this from. So, but I think if you're ever in that situation where it's like, yeah, I might go, but there's somebody really good that's already there, they're coming up behind me, just know what it is that you want out of your college experience. And knowing, do I want to play every game, or am I okay playing somewhere else, or am I okay not playing at all and just being a part of the team, or and kind of let that help you navigate your way through some of those decisions.
Awesome stuff. Awesome. Well, where is it? It's 8:47 at my house. You guys are all over the place, so it's something 47 in the evening. So we will wrap it up. Riley, thank you again. This is awesome. Girls, awesome questions. So glad to have you guys on a Saturday night. Riley, thanks for joining us on a Saturday night.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. We have a Fearless Warrior tradition. After all of our coaching calls, especially guest speaker calls, we like to do a screen chat. And then we'll post it on social media. So somebody, Riley, would you want to pick what we do for our screen chat?
Oh my gosh. Leaving it up to me. How about everybody does? I don't know.
You can phone a friend if you want.
Someone else decide this. I'm not good at this stuff. Someone else pick. Ashlyn, you pick.
Is there like an August thing that you guys do for Texas A&M?
Oh, yeah. We give a gig 'em. We do thumbs up.
I love that. That's perfect.
That? Oh, good idea.
Gig 'em.
You can do a double gig 'em if you want. I mean, if you're really, gung ho about it.
I love it. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Got it. Perfect. And you guys have in the chat, you guys have Riley's Instagram information. Riley, any questions or anything that comes up, DMs over Instagram, is that cool with you for the girls?
Absolutely. And give it a few times, because I have some messages in my requested. If I don't follow you back and it's requested, sometimes I don't always see those. So several times. Do not feel like you're bothering me at all. You aren't. I pinky promise.
Sounds good. Very cool. Well, Riley, thank you again. This was awesome.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Guys, we will, I will get this recording going, and then you guys will have it by the end of the weekend. So if you need to take more notes, you can watch it over again. Sound good? All right. With that, guys, have a good Saturday night. Have a good rest of your weekend.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks again, Riley.
Bye.
Bye.